From the top rope tier collection, this is collecting the 1, 2, 3 presented by Cardboard Dugout. I am your host, Moon 3PO, and this is my tag team partner, Bropio. Bropio, we are here with the first rendition of collecting the 1, 2, 3. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm excited for this one. I think obviously we're big wrestling fans, and we talked about this obviously on the side. So to actually finally kind of put like an official stamp on it and get an official recording going and get an official video up, it's pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I am doing good. Very exciting. I know this is something that we've talked about from the very beginning. So the fact that you mentioned we've got to kind of have it pen to paper, like they say, very exciting. So before we get into it, before we talk about what you can see in the description of this video, kind of want to go over because I'm pretty sure there may be some first time listeners and or watchers, depending if you're watching this on YouTube. Kind of a little bit confused, like what the hell's Cardboard Dugout? Who the hell's Bropio? Who the hell's Moon 3PO? What is all that? So to kind of clarify before we dive into this. So if you guys know, I'm Moon 3PO. My real name's Nick. But that is my brand. Moon 3PO is me. That's who I am. That's my content. That's where you see all of my stuff here on YouTube and socials, all that good stuff. I have a podcast, or we have a podcast, I should say, called Cardboard Dugout, which is where we talk about baseball cards and we talk about the baseball card market. So we launched that in August, September-ish time. So the last 3-4 months now, we're talking about baseball. We're talking about, the baseball card market. We did posting and stuff. We did all of that, and it's been fun. And we kept it up through with the off season. But if you guys go down to the deep lore of the Moon 3PO content, you guys know that there's been wrestling card content and there's been wrestling card rips. We've ripped open Select, Prism, all that kind of good stuff. So obviously now with Topps taking over the license, in my head, I thought, well, this will be a good time to divulge into wrestling card content. And when we were kind of talking about it and kind of coming up with the idea, my idea was, well, I don't want Cardboard Dugout to be a disjumbled up episode of everything all at once, where 20 minutes we're talking about wrestling card market, we're talking about Raw or a PLE, and then the next 20 minutes we're talking about Roki Sasaki signing with the Dodgers. Like, I just think that's bad for one, the algorithm, and two, as a listener, I personally wouldn't listen to that. So my idea was, well, let's create a branch of Cardboard Dugout. So that's why in that intro we have presented by Cardboard Dugout, because this is an extension of it. It's going on the same feed, it's going on the same channel. Everything is staying the same. It's just now just like a branch of what we've already established and what we built. And from the feedback that I got from people and the feedback that in communications that I had with people, it seemed like a good idea. There are already some podcasts out there that do cover, wrestling. Obviously, there's a lot of podcasts that do cover wrestling, but there really isn't a pod or like video s that do cover both. There are a few people who do a really good job of it. I know there's one at Gelman, I believe his name is, on Twitter. He's hopped on a few podcasts. He does really good wrestling card content, kind of things of that nature. But I think bringing it all overall into collecting both wrestling cards, figures, belts, things of that nature, I think this would have made here for a pretty exciting podcast, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I know that was a mouthful of a little bit of an explanation and mention there, Bropio. I'm not too sure if you want to add anything, or if I potentially missed something with that.
Nah, man. I think you honestly you hit everything like spot on. I think obviously when we talked about doing talking about wrestling cards, and it's obviously stemmed from, and we're obviously going to get more into it, but Topps taking over the WWE license, from taking it from Panini and making their own version of the cards. So if you listen to, I think not this past episode, but the previous episode of Cardboard Dugout, we talk about how we're going to we wanted to branch out, and we did a little segment about WWE and the cards. But then you reached out like, hey, like maybe we should do like a separate thing for WWE cards, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think we should do that, because I was with you too. Like, I don't want to be talking about baseball and how like you mentioned, like Sasaki signed with the Dodgers, and I could have told you that 3 months ago, and I did tell you that 3 months ago. So, like, you don't want to go from that and then talking about how just Joe Henry just won the TNA World Championship, or like how Seth Rollins is gonna fight Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw the next day. So it's kind of like, you got to have a market for some, and there might be people who do like baseball and wrestling, like the way we do. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to like just talk about baseball one episode and give you 40 minutes of that, and then possibly give you like 30 to 40 minutes of wrestling content instead of like 15 minutes baseball, 15 minutes wrestling. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm excited. And I know we obviously talked about having like a third person come in here to talk about wrestling, which is our other brother. And so we'll see how that goes, and eventually maybe we can get him on here so we can get his hot wrestling takes. But other than that, man, I'm excited.
Yeah, we know we've mentioned him getting him in here potentially. I know he sometimes is an idiot with technology, so doesn't know how that works. So it's probably something where we have to go to his house or go over to our house and help him set that up, because the dude's a bozo when it comes to that type of stuff. But yeah, like he's on the wrestling figures side, so it would be a good idea to get him on here so we can get to see his opinion on the figures and all that. What's coming out? What's trending upwards? What's not trending upwards? Obviously, I have a couple of figures. I know you do as well, but I wouldn't. I'd be completely honest. I don't know too much about the figure game. Something that I'm consistently trying to learn more of. There you go, main event Jey Uso. Yeet. But yeah. So, and then to me, in my opinion, and kind of follows up with kind of piggybacking off what you said. Like a couple of years ago, we were talking about how like obviously just in our discussion or just on you can see it on the internet. Like wrestling was super hot. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is my opinion. I think wrestling is hotter right now and bigger than it was like a year or 2 years ago, in my honest opinion. That's like with everything going on with Raw being on Netflix, NXT being on CW, SmackDown going over to USA, like we just talked about here. We both watched TNA Genesis, obviously the partnership with WWE and Genesis. Maybe I know you
AEW's on HBO Max streaming.
AEW is on HBO Max. Or not HBO Max, it's just called Max now. If I get just in case if we get a flag on there,
on Max.
Just Max, just facts. But you threw out a little shot, I think on the same episode about AEW being a spot fest. I know you threw that out there,
probably, but it is.
Not probably you did.
I did, yeah. And it is a spot fest, but yeah.
So maybe we'll get AEW in there. Obviously, AEW also has cards. They're with Upper Deck, so I've never bought any Upper Deck or AEW cards, but maybe that's something we do here for content. So, yeah, that was my idea. I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to, there's an opportunity to meet new people, like you mentioned. There's just probably maybe not no baseball fans out there who don't like wrestling, or vice versa. So I don't think a guy who likes wrestling is going to join a baseball card podcast, but if they join a baseball extension of the podcast of that talks about wrestling, maybe we get them on for that. So yeah, that's the idea that we have, and I think it's something, again, it's going to be very exciting. I'm excited to see where it takes, because I think the more the merrier, in my opinion. And we can definitely I think we can do a lot with this in the next couple of months and next whatever, especially with Royal Rumble being in about 2-3 weeks now, WrestleMania approaching soon, PLEs, things of that nature. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about. I don't know.
And I think that's the beauty of wrestling, where obviously, like when we talk about baseball, like the peak of the baseball season is like what, from April to October. Like that's your peak season. Obviously, spring training's in February. You got your spring training games in March, and then like really the season starts late March, early April, like that. But wrestling, that's year long. Like like next thing you know, you're at SummerSlam, and then you're like Survivor Series, and you're at the Chamber. Now you're at the Royal Rumble. Next thing you know, you're in Royal Rumble season. Well, obviously we're in Royal Rumble season. Next thing you know, it's WrestleMania. It's like, goddamn, like that went by so quick. So, yeah, I think that's the beauty of wrestling. So, that's what I think it probably makes it more exciting, because I feel like there's always stuff going on in wrestling. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, wrestling 365 a year. It doesn't stop. It's consistent. So yeah, like I mentioned here, there's always going to be something. There's always something to talk about. Now, I do want to preface here as well. I don't know what the recording schedule or upload schedule would be, because ideally I like to have Cardboard Dugout, the baseball pod, at least once a week. And then I do my normal stuff either on TikTok, which is officially back for a certain time period. I do my YouTube stuff as well, just by myself. And then now we have this. So I don't know exactly what the schedule is going to look like. If I'm being honest, I just want to also just set the Like the expectations, like it's not going to be like we're going to cover every episode of Raw or cover every episode of SmackDown NXT unless something dramatic happened. There is something cool that happened. Then obviously we could talk about it and maybe translate it into cards. Obviously, we'll talk about it a little bit later as well. The Topps now, they have their own cards. We'll talk about that right now, or in the couple of minutes from here. But yeah, I also just want to set those expectations on that because there are some people who like, when are you going to upload? When are you going to do this, do that? So do want to set those expectations. There's something we're learning on the fly. We're going on the fly here. But I think that adds to the excitement of this because you never know when we might upload. And so I think that's going to be, so when we upload, something happened and it's going to be exciting. So stay on your toes for that. So that just follows up. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're listening to on either Apple or Spotify, make sure you're all following the Cardboard Dugout. Again, because it's all going under the same feed. Nothing new. It's all going to the same feed. Will always be under Cardboard Dugout. And of course, if you guys want to follow us on those socials and talk wrestling, talk baseball, talk cards, you can do that with me at Moon3PO on all socials, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, TikTok. Again, like I mentioned, we're back. Instagram, I'm not too sure if I said Instagram. We're there. BroPO, you can follow there at Robbie, at _Robbie. That's ROBBEEE. That's 2 B's, 3 E's. You can give him a follow on all those socials if you want to talk have those conversations with him and or I. But let's get into it. That's enough of an introduction. Let's talk some cards. Let's talk some wrestling. We got 2025 Topps Chrome WWE coming January 31st. That is the official release date, one day before the Royal Rumble. So good timing by Fanatics and Topps. I'm pretty sure they knew what they were doing. I'm pretty sure those breaks on Fanatics Live, whatnot, are going to be crazy because more eyeballs will definitely be on the product. But 2025 Topps Chrome WWE, I was lucky enough to get selected for the EQL drop. So I do have a hobby box coming my way. That price point was $175 after tax. So that's what I paid, with shipping, handling, all that kind of good stuff. I don't know when that's going to be sent over to me. I don't know if it's a thing where they're going to send it to me and I get it delivered on January 31st, or they're going to send it to me on January 31st and it's going to get delivered to me. I don't know yet. I have to, look at those emails or confirmation on that. But yeah, $175. I would expect on release date, it will be a little bit higher. I don't know. We don't know anything yet as far as a print run, how much product is being printed or what's being sent out as far as right now. You can go on eBay and buy your pre-orders from other people from anywhere up from $230 to $250. I'm highlighted it in my TikToks. If you want to be bold and do that, you can go ahead and do that. I would expect the secondary market to kind of be around that mark. I would expect hobby stores, LCSs to have like a $200, $250 price point. So just do keep that in mind. But January 31st, again, you still have your opportunity to go on the Topps website and snag open some boxes there for yourself. But let's go over it. So we do not have an official checklist as far as it right now. So I cannot tell you what superstars and or legends are in this set. We can go based off some inserts and parallels that we know that basically confirms some superstars that we know for in this set. But let's talk about what you can expect in a 2025 Topps Chrome WWE. I'm going to go over all of them, so bear with me here. There's 31 of them, so bear with me here. So we got your typical standard refractors. You got your geometric refractors, which is going to be one per breaker box. So spoiler alert, there are going to be breaker boxes. We'll cover all of that down in later on as far as what products to expect. We do got neon green and black refractors, pink shimmer refractors. Those are going to be hobby only. Prism refractors, purple refractors, hobby only. Red and blue refractors, hobby only. Sepia, 3 per value box. So we are getting blaster boxes. That's big because for Topps 24 Topps Chrome baseball, we did not get blaster boxes. We got them for Series 1. We did not get them from Update Series. So that's big. So that is good. Then we got extra refractors, 10 per mega box. So just like in baseball, you are going to get extra refractors, and that's going to be 10 per mega box. We got speckle refractors. There's no out of 249. Aqua shimmer refractors out of 199. Teal laser refractors out of 175. Blue refractors out of 150. Blue geometric refractors out of 99. Breaker only. Green refractors out of 99. Red, white, and blue refractors out of 85, which is basically like your top, like your concourse for select. Those are only going to be in mega boxes out of 85. Blue wave refractors out of 75. Green geometric refractors 75, breaker only. Gold refractors out of 50. Gold geometric refractors out of 50, breaker only. Steel cage refractors numbered out of 37, hobby only. Orange refractors out of 25. Orange geometric refractors out of 25, breaker only. Black and gold refractors numbered out of 13, mega box only. Black refractors out of 10. Purple geometric refractors out of 10, breaker only. Frozen refractors out of -5. I think the -5 is so stupid. That's just me. The cool looking cards, but the -5, like, really, that's so stupid. Red refractors out of 5. Red geometric refractors out of 5, breaker only. Black geometric refractors out of 2, breaker only. And then, of course, you got your super fractors. Obviously, those are your one of ones. And this is a total base set of 200 cards. So 200 confirmed cards here are going to be in this set. Now, as I read off that mouthful of inserts and parallels, not inserts, but parallels and numbers, what's your first take, Bro Peel, on those parallels that you can expect there in those hobby megas and value boxes?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I don't think it has really anything to do with like the actual like the parallels or the refractors or but the cards, but I think it's one we're gonna get blaster boxes, which is cool. So you obviously don't have to spend the big price point. So I would assume this is probably gonna be like around $40 ish. I would assume because especially since it's Chrome, so I'm gonna expect it to be like the Topps Chrome, which I think was like around $45. And then the mega box is
Yep.
actually pretty cool too. That they're gonna have the mega box, which I think the mega box is like about $50 to $60 if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So that was the two things that came off the top of the bag. So if you can't afford, the big hobby box and stuff like that, and you want to get on the action, I think these are some pretty cool ways to get into it. But I do like that. I know the one that popped out was like the steel cage refractor. I think we were talking about this off camera. For one, it's numbered to 37, which is a weird number, so I don't know why it's 37. Unless there's something I don't know about that it was 37. That was WWE like founded something with 37. I don't know. But I thought it was pretty cool. And I think there's an image of LA Knight, and there's like you could see like a steel cage variation of it, where it looks like a steel
In the
cage.
background.
Yeah, no pun intended, but yeah. Uh, and you can kind of see like a little steel cage in the back. So I don't know if that's what it is, but um, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I like it, and I'm excited about it. Like I said, I'm excited about the value boxes, the mega boxes, especially that CPL. Like you're gonna get 3 per value box, so that alone is pretty cool. So if you get a big name like Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, stuff like that, like a Scipia, it's gonna be pretty cool. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, you nailed it there. There's obviously with Topps and with cards these days, there's a lot of different parallels and inserts and things of that nature. But yeah, the way when I did a video of it on YouTube. So if you guys want to see like actual visual of some of these cards, you can go check out the YouTube channel again, Move3PL. Check out the latest video. So you actually see, what we talked about here, the steel cage refractor. But yeah, what I liked about it, obviously, there's a lot of parallels, a lot of different things here, but it seems like they divided it up into each certain box. So like you mentioned there, if you want to go buy a value box, you have some value there. You want to go buy a mega box, you have some value there. So there is definitely the value to buying those boxes. Kind of like we talked about. We're talking about flagship series 1 for baseball last episode, or the last episode of Cardboard Dugout, and we're talking about how the takeaway of those parallels kind of draws from the from me wanting to go buy a retail box or anything like that. So the fact that these parallels are into it, are in certain different boxes, that's pretty cool for me. But let's go ahead and head into what you can expect in these boxes. So cards per pack hobby is going to be 8, and you can expect 12 packs per box. A breaker box or a breaker per pack for cards is going to be 12, and it's going to be 1 pack per box. So of course, if you guys are familiar with breaks, breakers, they get a box, looks like a standard little like hobby box, and there's only 1 pack in there. And typically they have some bigger hits. We'll cover it right now. A mega box is going to have 8 cards per pack, 6 packs per box, and then a value box is going to have 4 cards per pack and 7 packs per box. So only going to have 28 cards, so a little bit lower, which is what we saw out of Topps Chrome. And this is what you can expect in a hobby box. So again, I was a little bit surprised because this is actually kind of loaded to me. I could be wrong, but it's quite a bit. So in a hobby box, you can expect 2 autographs per box. You can expect 1 1985 Topps Legend card, a Paradigm 1 card, 1 Slammy card, 1 The Time Is Now insert, 1 women's division card, 2 neon green and black refractors, 2 pink shimmer refractors, 4 prism refractors, 2 purple refractors, 4 red and blue refractors, and 2 standard refractors. If you do go ahead and participate in breaks, you can expect 2 autographs, 2 inserts, and 8 refractors. If you decide to go for a mega box, now this is a little bit of a surprising one because I thought maybe potentially they were going to make their own set, but it's like this is not going to be the case. In a mega box, you are going to get 2 Allen and Ginter style cards, 1 neon green and black refractors, 10 extra refractors like we just talked about, and 2 standard refractors. So just like in a hobby box. So not a bad deal. I think honestly a mega box might be a better value for your buck depending on when we get those price points. And then we got the value box. We got 1 1985 current legend, 2 Allen and Ginter, 1 tag team, 1 title town, 1 neon green and black refractor, 1 prism refractors, and 3 sepia refractors. Now, as I go over all that there, Bro Pio, is there anything there that stuck out to you in those boxes? I know for me personally, it was the Allen and Ginter.
Yeah, out of all that, I mean, I'm looking at it too. I'm like, damn, the hobby. I think I'm with you. The hobby box is pretty loaded to get like at least all of those. Like most of the time, like you buy something from Topps, you're like, oh, like all you see in the front is like, oh, you guarantee like 2 autos, and then everything else is like kind of like extra. So that's all you're looking for. But the fact that you can actually see, like, you're gonna get 2 autographs, 1 1985 top legend, 1 women's division card, 1 the time is now. Which I wonder if that's a John Cena insert. Like, I think we talked about it last time if they're gonna do like anything special for John Cena's retirement. So the fact that it's called "The Time Is Now," I wonder if it's has anything to do with John Cena. You get 2 neon green and black refractors. So like, I don't know, you get a lot. I don't know if Topps ever does that. Like, especially when it comes to like MLB and all that. Like, I don't think I've ever seen like an in depth of like what you're gonna get actually in a hobby box or anything like that. But even at that, I think the value box, which is going to be the retail, like it's actually laying it down for you. Like you're actually going to get a pretty good amount too. So that alone is obviously worth your money. I think for like the only thing you don't get is obviously the autographs. You're not guaranteed the autographs. But you're going to get your your legends, your Allen Ginter, your tag team card, your title town. And you're going to get your 3 sepia, your 1 prism refractors, and your 1 neon green and black refractor. So, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of value in this, so it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I just sent you a picture of one right now. So it's part of the title town insert, but I literally said that exact same thing in like that podcast when we're talking about like collecting moments. Because it literally is John Cena when he tied the 16th time when he tied Ric Flair, and obviously
for those
that don't know,
I remember, yeah. I remember being there and I was so fucking pissed when he beat AJ Styles.
For those that don't know, we live in San Antonio. So in the video that I recorded that got uploaded today, it's a title town insert. It's John Cena, having the title over his head. Obviously, he just won. It has WWE Championship, has Royal Rumble, has January 29, 2017, and of course, that has San Antonio, Texas on there. And that's literally the exact same thing that I said on the podcast like 2 episodes ago. I was like, as wrestling fans, like we love collecting moments. Like that's what makes wrestling. Like there's iconic moments for everything. That's part of the montages. And for us, like we were literally there, and like you mentioned, I remember both of us being fucking pissed because we're big AJ Styles fans. I know for me, I followed him as much as I can when he was in TNA. When he left TNA, I followed him in New Japan Pro Wrestling with the whole Bullet Club thing. And then like when 2016, 2015 came and the rumblings were coming around that him and man, I remember, dude, that was such like an iconic time for WWE. When the whole Bullet Club thing was coming around, obviously Finn Balor had just debuted a couple of months ago, or like a year ago, 2 years ago at that point. And then Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, those guys were potentially coming in, and then AJ came in at the Royal Rumble at number 3.
I think they even won the tag team titles on the pre-show on that Royal Rumble show, if I'm not mistaken. I think they beat the Bar. I think they were wrestling the Bar.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they won the tag team titles that day. I was like, oh, I remember, like, obviously, like
I think that was their first WWE. Like, there was their first WWE like tag team reign, and we got up. I was like, fuck yeah! People were
Because
like,
we
"What
had
the fuck is this guy yelling at?"
obviously we had thought like, oh man, this is it. Like they're gonna have all the gold. They're gonna walk around. Obviously the good stuff. Obviously they were decorated tag team champions in New Japan and all that, and all over the world. And then yeah, John Cena came in and didn't do that. So looking back at it, I was at that time I was fucking pissed. But looking back at it now,
Yeah.
what we know and John Cena being gone, I'm like, all right, that's a cool moment. But
Yeah.
yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool.
It's gonna be a bittersweet card to collect, honestly.
Yeah, I said in the video, like I'm not a like I'm trying to get better at being a set collector or like an insert collector. Like obviously I collect certain superstars and that's who I PC. Like for those that don't know, I PC Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and Bray Wyatt. And I'm trying to dabble a little bit more into John Cena. You guys know, you guys get if you're a YouTube video watcher or see if you see my TikToks and all that, you guys know I got a John Cena 2002 Fleer and an SGC 8.5. So I am starting to. I'm trying to collect a little bit more John Cena cards, but I was like, I want to make that the first like insert to actually collect like the full set, like the full rainbow. It's gonna be a expensive one probably, but I would want to make it like my mission to like go out and collect all those type of parallels for that card. I think it'll be a cool card just because one, it's Cena tying the 16th championship for tying Ric Flair, and obviously two, that happened in San Antonio. So I think that would be like a fun like little chase for me and things like that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And I didn't even, for the longest time I didn't even think about it that was his last like title reign. Like that's when that's the title reign that he got to tie Flair. So it's kind of obviously we weren't thinking about that at the time, but I mean it's pretty crazy to think about it now. I'm like damn. But yeah, that would be a pretty cool set to collect the whole insert. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and thinking about it now too, like I'm thinking about it because I mentioned him. Obviously, I'm wearing his T-shirt. Him winning the title is basically like passing the title to Bray, because then Bray, correct me if I'm wrong, won an Elimination Chamber, and like John Cena got eliminated like pretty early, and then they were like, oh, there's going to be a new champion, and then Bray Wyatt and AJ Styles were like the last two in the Elimination Chamber, and I remember being so conflicted because I was like, oh god, like I want AJ to get the title back, but we were obviously huge Bray Wyatt fans, and I was like, oh my god, like I need a title reign for Bray Wyatt. That they just split the brand. I was like, he needs a title. This is why they did this. And yeah, for sure enough, Bray Wyatt was lucky enough to get the title. But yeah, as you can tell, 2017 was a conflicting time for Moon 3PO.
Yeah, and I think that was the time of SmackDown Live, right? That's when SmackDown Live was coming out. Yeah, that SmackDown Live era is probably like goated. Like,
dude, that era
that was
goated.
Yeah.
When you every once in a while, like TikToks will pop up and like YouTube videos will pop up, and like that era of like wrestling, that little peak era of wrestling from like 16 to like 18-esque, like dude, that was peak. James Ellsworth, like there was some like obviously James Ellsworth, that's like a funny little moment.
I love when that every now and then that clip pops up when it's like Team Raw versus Team SmackDown Survivor Series. It's when Jericho was still making the left. What the hell is that over there?
And then he's like, Chin McMahon. He's like, you just made the list, and he's like all upset.
He's still AJ Styles with the soccer mom hairstyle.
Yeah, that's peak. Those are good times. I mean, obviously, right now we're in a better era.
Will obviously be goated. That SmackDown Live era was that's hard to compete against SmackDown Live. So.
Yeah, and that's like actually like when we like we were into wrestling, and then we kind of got out of it a little bit, and then like we both got back around the same time, like around like 2013, 2014. I think we took like a year off. I think we both agree that it was because Shawn Michaels retired. And then after that, we're like, I'm not watching this anymore, because that was like one of our favorite wrestlers growing up, and obviously you guys just heard we're from San Antonio. He's from San Antonio, obviously. So we took like a year off, and then like 2012-esque, like 2013, like the Wyatt family, the Shield, that's what got me back into wrestling. I think same thing for you, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's kind of like what Daniel Bryan as well. I think essentially is what brought us into wrestling. So like that peak era of wrestling was like a highlight for us.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously grew up as wrestling fans pretty much like all through our childhood. But yeah, I do remember like when Shawn Michaels had that that first match against Undertaker. Obviously he lost it. Then he had that rematch at the following year at WrestleMania, and then he was like, it was like career versus streak. And then when he lost, I was like, fuck, like what the hell? Like that was my favorite wrestler. And it's pretty funny that they the WWE Vault, shout out to the WWE Vault team, that whoever runs that fucking account is fucking goated. But they uploaded a match between Shawn Michaels and Triple H for the World Heavyweight title, and it was an episode of Raw, and I think it happened in like 2003. And I was there. I was there obviously with our daddy. I think you were probably. I think you were way too little probably to be there, but
Yeah,
you weren't there.
I was like
It was me
4,
and Dad.
5, maybe.
Yeah. But I remember being there, and I remember like when obviously he won, but then Eric Bischoff like called it out, saying like all this other stuff. But I remember being like so pissed as a kid. I'm like, no, he won. He counted, the ref counted 3. He should be the champion. And obviously, when you're a kid, you don't understand, the workings of wrestling. So obviously, I grew up a big Shawn Michaels fan. So when he retired, I was like, damn, like obviously there's a lot of good wrestlers there. I was a big CM Punk fan. I used to wear all his shirts and stuff like that. But yeah, after he retired, kind of drifted away from wrestling a little bit. And then like the wrestlers who brought me, and I think probably you two who brought us back, like you mentioned, it was like Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family, the Shield. Obviously CM Punk was obviously still there with him, and like the Straight Edge Society, like that kept us into wrestling. And then you still have your legends like the Undertaker was still wrestling, Triple H. And I think like the one big moment that probably like I remember was the whole Yes movie with Daniel Bryan. And I remember
That
we
was
went to
crazy.
Raw. I think
Yeah.
yeah, and I think you were there with us too when we went. And I think it was Raw was here the week after the Yes movie takeover, when all those fans were in the ring.
They beat
and
beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, well, so that was so that was the week after they were here, and I was like, dude, like I don't ever remember leaving wrestling. Like, there's 2 times I've ever left wrestling like in person, like sad, and I'm like, dude, like why did we leave like that? Was obviously that moment when they beat the shit out of Daniel Bryan. He was handcuffed, and Triple H beat the shit out of him. And then was the Royal Rumble when we were here, and when Sammy turned on Roman Reigns, and they obviously beat the shit out of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I was like, why am I so sad leaving this fucking arena? Like,
And we still acknowledged him.
I was like, this, I was like crying over. Acknowledge you, tribal chief. But yeah, I mean that was the thing, and I think we didn't. I don't think we followed wrestling. I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I think we're kind of like same. Like, I don't think we followed wrestling like the way we do now. But we obviously like we would pop in and out. We didn't watch Raw every day. We didn't watch SmackDown. NXT was hot at the time. I loved the Undisputed Era with Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish. God, what's the Roderick Strong. I fucking love those guys. When Keith Lee was down there, Karrion Kross was in NXT, like all those guys. And then you want to talk about the women, Bailey was down there, Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, like all those girls when they were down the 4 horsewomen, if you want to acknowledge them, Becky and Charlotte, like that was. And when NXT was hot, like we used to watch NXT, went to a couple of NXT shows when they were here. But I don't think we actually like followed it like religiously. I think kind of like the way we do now, where we're like watching every week and stuff like that. We kind of broke away, and I honestly don't think it happened. We didn't follow. Obviously, we didn't start following again until Cody came back to WWE. And AEW came around. I think obviously we started watching that too, especially when CM Punk came back. When Punk came back, I was like, oh, shit. Like, that was like must watch AEW TV. I remember watching the first pay per view when he came back, when he fought Darby.
Yeah, we're together. We got together for that.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, we have to fucking watch it, because I was like, dude, I love CM Punk. Well, obviously, we all do love CM Punk. And it was funny too, because I was just talking about that. Obviously, when Penta was wrestling on Raw this past week, I was like, dude, I think the first like Penta match that I ever saw was him and his brother. I think they're called the Lucha Bros, right? When they fought the Young Bucks in that steel cage match, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, what the hell are they doing? They were like kicking each other with like shoes that had spikes, and there was fire. I'm like, what the hell is this? So, that was the first Penta match I ever saw. So obviously, when I saw him fight Chad Gable, that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, we've been wrestling fans practically our whole life. So, um, I'm excited, obviously, that we're starting to do this pod, and we get to talk about wrestling and stuff like that. And like I said, we don't know the schedule, but maybe we could figure something out. Like, if I don't think probably after every Raw or after that, it's probably unrealistic. So maybe we could do like maybe after every PLE, or we can do a something like that, or like a weekend review or something like that. Um, obviously, I'll say we're big WWE fans, and that's a lot of the stuff that I know. And I don't I don't have problem with AEW. I do like AEW. It's not that I don't like AEW. I like the wrestlers that they have. They have so many favorite wrestlers, like Brian Danielson, well, obviously AKA Dan O'Brien. Like, he was one of the wrestlers that brought me back into it. That's why I liked it so much. So I mean, obviously he doesn't wrestle anymore. But obviously he retired, but they tried to fucking kill him over there, literally.
Retired.
Oh,
In
yeah, he
quotation marks.
retired.
I think for
Obviously,
him, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be actively retired. I feel like that dude's never gonna stop wrestling.
oh, he's not a full time wrestler anymore. I think that was the thing. That was the whole thing. But I mean, I have so many guys over there that like with John Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose, when he was in the Shield. We loved the Shield. Adam Copeland, or Cope, if you want. I refuse to call him Cope. I call him Edge. I don't give a fuck. Edge is obviously over there.
They're rated R Superstar Cove.
They were-
I knew you were gonna say something like that.
yeah, I'm sorry, man. He's Edge to me forever. I don't care. Obviously, I was just talking about the Undisputed Era. What are they called over there? Undisputed Kingdom, right? I think that's what they're called over there.
Yeah, it's something like that. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say
Both
something
Adam
like
Cole,
that.
O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. Fucking love Adam Cole. Like, he's one of my favorite wrestlers. That NXT run is undisputed. No pun intended. But don't want to talk about that. But I mean, there's a lot of guys over there. I just don't. I really do like that. I love their wrestling. It's just, I don't know, something about AW. I don't know if it's the storylines or the way they're presented. And it's just something about it. And I'm honestly, I really am gonna try to watch them on Wednesdays. I can't promise you Saturdays on Collisions, but I mean, now that they're on Max, it makes it a little bit easier to watch. Obviously, we watched a little bit of TNA Genesis today. I bought tickets. The TNA is going to be here on Thursday and Friday, so I bought tickets for the Thursday night here, and for the show. So trying to see the Hardy Boys. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted a large rant about our fandom. So I don't know.
No, that's good.
Pretty cool.
I think, and I was gonna kind of head into my fandom a little bit, and that's good because it's obviously what I want to preface with this as well. Like, we just didn't become wrestling fans yesterday. Like, that's important. Like, just because Topps got the license and there's more cards, blah blah blah. Like, we just didn't become wrestling fans yesterday. Like, we've been wrestling fans our whole life. Like, granted, yes, we took a break, but yeah, I think we've gone on it on different levels. Like, I was like 5 years old when I met Stacy Cleaver. My dad took us. Where were we at? A car show,
It was a
right?
it was
A car show.
a car show, yeah. And
What she
I
was
think
doing there, I
Stacy
don't
was
know.
the only. Well, back in the day, like WWE would just have like random like appearances for the superstars, kind of like nowadays, like the way the superstars have like the Cricket Wireless appearances. That's the way it was back in the day. So yeah, Stacy Cleaver, and I know we had autograph. I think we lost it, but we did have autograph, and we did have photos too. But I think
We
back in
gotta
the day,
find
it
that
was
picture. It's probably it somewhere.
I don't know, dude. It was a disposable camera back in the day, so did it ever get developed? I think it did. What happened to the photos? I don't know. Yeah, we did have a
Well,
picture with Stacey.
so we met Stacy Keebler when I was 5 years old when I met Stacy Keebler. Uh, our dad, my dad, our dad would take us to any type of Raw event. Obviously, I missed out on the HBK and Triple H event. But anytime Raw, SmackDown, ECW, whatever was in town, like, we would go to them. So, and like, I remember going to, like, they had draft, I think in like 2009, 2008, we went to that. Royal Rumble
Yeah,
2007 with John Cena and Umaga. I remember being sad that
dude,
night
I
too because
just watched
Undertaker
that
and
match the other day, dude.
goated match does not get talked about enough.
Yeah.
Goated match. Uh, 2007 Royal Rumble. I remember leaving upset that day too because Undertaker and Shawn Michaels were the last two. We're in fucking San Antonio. I want Shawn Michaels to obviously win the title and go off to face John Cena at the at WrestleMania. That obviously didn't happen like that. But I left upset that day too. Granted, I like the Undertaker, but who would not want to see your hometown favorite wrestler win the Royal Rumble? I was Rey Mysterio as at Halloween. Like we did all that. We had the wrestling. We wrestled on trampolines. We did all that good stuff. So yeah, we followed it as much closely as we can, as much as possible. Our dad would buy us when wrestling were on pay-per-views. Our dad would fork out the $60 on a Sunday and then take us home, whatever the case may be, and then take us to school the next day. Like we did all that. And then yeah, so like that was all that we did when I was younger, when we were both younger. And then kind of like you mentioned there, Shawn Michaels retiring, like that had like a ripple effect. I was like, damn, like I don't like, there's nothing for me to really watch anymore. But the kind of the person that kept me there was CM Punk. So it was like the Straight Edge Society, Nexus, the 434 reign, like that's what kept me there as well. And then he leaves in 13 after the Royal Rumble. And I'm like, oh God, like he's leave, like he just like he took his bag. And at that time, like the wrestling dirt sheets wasn't like the way it is now. Like we had the WWE.com network and we had like Twitter just started. Like it wasn't like what we know now. Like a wrestler leaves or something happens backstage, we know about it 10 minutes after it happened. When CM Punk left and he wasn't being advertised anymore, it was like what the fuck happened? Like what did he do? Like what he just got up, and left. I don't blame him, but he just got up and left. We didn't know anything about it. So stopped it again, stopped watching wrestling there. And then obviously the Shield. I think the match that got me like back into it, and it's one of my favorite matches. Like maybe then that's the thing too. We can do like our favorite matches, like our top 5, top 10 favorite matches. But one that I always go back to and like I can watch this on a daily. Hell, I'm probably gonna watch it after tonight. Is Elimination Chamber 2013, the Shield versus the Wyatt family.
The Wyatt family,
again,
yeah.
So torn on that. I love the Shield. I was a big Roman Reigns guy back then. You see the Roman Reigns rookie card I got back there. Like I was a big Roman Reigns guy before anybody liked Roman Reigns. And then we had the Wyatt family. Obviously I loved Bray Wyatt. We loved Luke Harper, Brody Lee, whatever you know him as, and then obviously Eric Rowan as well. So like that was a good time, like for me. I was like, so that's what got me back. And then obviously the Yes Movement, Daniel Bryan was there. So all that was like a trickle effect. And then he like kind of going back, like kind of skipping a couple of years ahead. Then he retires and he gets hurt. So I'm like, oh crap, like now one of my other favorite superstars is leaving. So it's like, and yeah, so it was like a thing where like a lot of up and downs. I think that's like that with all of wrestling. Your wrestling can be so high and it can be so low. So yeah, I definitely went in waves. And then I didn't get back into wrestling in like around, like 2016, 2017, when like the New Japan stuff, Bullet Club started popping off. That's when I started following it again. 2018, 2019, like 2020, like of wrestling was so bad. Like I would still watch it, but I wasn't doing it like this, like the way we are now. We've been the last 2 or 3 years. So that was kind of like just bad Vince McMahon booking, terrible, like just was hard to watch. It really was. And then that's the reason why we stopped watching. Like it was really hard to watch. And that's why we gravitated towards AEW, because AEW then came around that time and like, oh, it's something new, it's something fresh. There's some ex-WWE guys there. Chris Jericho was there. Obviously, Cody Rhodes was a founder there. I knew Kenny Omega from and knew Kenny in the Bucks from the New Japan stuff. And there's just a lot of new fresh faces there that we started watching. So I remember they have so many different names for their pay-per-views. Don't come at me. I don't remember the first pay-per-view that they had.
All
In.
It's All In.
All In, maybe? Yeah, All In.
All In is the first one.
Yeah, I remember buying All In, and then that's when like I saw like Cody Rhodes smash it's very ironic now. Smash the throne. Chris Jericho beat Hangman and Page for the championship. Bret Hart was there. There's a young MJF in there. I forgot those guys. Oh, what was it called? Damn, I forgot the name of it. I was actually kind of watching a couple of days ago when they went on Max. But yeah, so watched that, and I was like, okay, like this is like that's the kind of wrestling I like, and it was good wrestling at that time. It kind of is what it is now. So yeah, we started watching AEW, and then like you mentioned, there was CM Punk came back, and we're like, oh fuck, like CM Punk's back. Like they got him back into wrestling. Like how the hell after everything that he said about wrestling, and we were obviously CM Punk fans, still are to this day. Like the fact that they got him back in there, you're gonna say something there. What you got?
Oh no, I'm good.
I
I'm
thought you were gonna
saying
say something.
no. I was like, dude, we'll be fucking CM Punk fans for till the day we fucking die, probably.
Yeah, I put out a tweet when the whole shit with AEW
I
come
will
out. Man, I'm
follow
gonna ride or
that
die for
man
CM
to the
Punk.
fucking fire. I remember like when he left WWE and he went to UFC. I think like his first fight was like during my birthday weekend, and they're like, "Oh, what do you want to do for your birthday?" I was like, "Dude, I don't want to fucking do nothing. I just want to go watch the UFC, like see a punk fight." Obviously, he got his ass kicked by I think it was like by Mickey. What's his name?
Mickey Gall.
Mickey Gall. Yeah, I remember he got his ass kicked. I was like, "Well, I don't know what to do now."
So yeah, obviously we're big CM Punk fans. We will ride and die with CM Punk. So I guess you can kind of see where maybe some of the biases towards AEW kind of comes from now a little bit. Maybe you can call me out if you want on that. Call me out if you want. But yeah, we ride or die here for CM Punk on this podcast. You're not gonna hear any type of CM Punk slander on this podcast. So if you don't like CM Punk, then get the fuck out of here. So yeah, he came back to AEW. We started watching there. And then all that stuff started happening. And then, yeah, and then obviously he left. And then it was like, what, about a month, 2 months? And then like, well, how long was that period? Like 2 months, maybe?
Well, he left after All In Wembley, which Wembley was in June, so and he came back in November to WWE. So June, July, August, or like 4 or 5 months. 5 months.
Like 4 or 5 months, give or take. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think honestly, kind of even before, I'm jumping everywhere, but it's all right. I think even before that, it was Cody leaving AEW that did it for me. Because when the founder of AEW or one of the key founders leaves AEW, like that's when you know, like there's it's like something happened. I don't know. I think he's always said too, like he's never gonna say it. But something happened there. There's been some speculation. Maybe it's with Brandy Rhodes, his wife. We do not know, but I think that's honestly kind of what did it for me because I was a big Cody Rhodes fan as well, Stardust, all that kind of good stuff. I always liked Cody Rhodes as well. So when he left, I was like, damn, like there's nowhere else for him to go. He's gonna go back to WWE. So when he left AEW to WWE, that's what kind of once again shifted the paradigm to me to go back and watching WWE pretty religiously. Then obviously he gets hurt again. Then obviously a couple of months after then that he gets hurt, and then he comes back at the Royal Rumble, and then obviously we were there for that when he came back and won the Royal Rumble, and then that's when we again just started religiously following wrestling. It's kind of just been like that for the last. What was that? Like 29? What year was that? That's what 21, 22,
23.
23.
Yeah, I think it was 23.
Yeah, 23. Yeah, 22, 23-esque.
Yeah, the Rumble was 23, and then he won in 24. Yeah.
Yeah, he's back to back. Yeah. Yeah, obviously we know about the deep lore, the wrestling history, but yeah, as far as like watching it the way we have been right now, it's been the last like 3 or 4 years, and that's all happened because of like some sort of events, Cody, CM Punk, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, so that's I wanted to put the foot stamp on that. As like we're not just wrestling fans that just happened. So we know the superstars, we know what's happened, we know what's going on, and I think that's what's important and translated into the wrestling card market. So kind of like you mentioned there, let's say after a PLE, let's say whoever wins the Royal Rumble, for example, let's say on the women's side, Io Sky wins the Royal Rumble. Like, what does her card market look like after? Tiffany Stratton just won the SmackDown Women's Championship 2 weeks ago, and her card market, if you go on Market Movers or you go wherever, you see the her card market has kind of increased. So that's kind of what we want to do here. Translate that to the wrestling card market, what cards to look for. Obviously, we're never going to tell you what cards to buy. This is never going to be never financial advice. I'm never going to give you any type of financial advice. But like maybe what cards you want to keep an eye out for, how to collect wrestling cards, what sets to look at. Obviously, we want to recognize that Panini did a very good job with the license. I think, and I said that in my video, we're going to look back at that license 3 to 4 years from now. And it's like, damn, like Panini did pretty good with that license and they handled it well. So we don't want to ignore Panini and all that. So what Panini says to look at, we rip open a shit ton of Select. I have a a blaster box sitting next to me right now. We just did a break Friday, a full case of blasters and Flawless. So that was electric. That was pretty fun. I don't know how you want to throw
Yep.
anything on that break there.
Um. Yeah, that was I was. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was so scared of like how much money I spent on those slots, and I was like, damn, dude. I was like, I hope I pull at least something out of this because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna explain this to the wife that I spent X amount of dollars on this slot. Um, and I thought it was gonna take longer to fill because there was like so many spots. There was like just for clarification, it was like over 100 spots to fill because it was broken up by wrestlers, and like each spot had like three wrestlers to a spot. Um, so I thought it was gonna take a lot longer. So I was out, out and about doing errands and stuff like that. So um, majority of the break I was listening to, I was driving in the car, and as I got home, I got to obviously see one of my bigger hits, which I don't want to kind of reveal what it is yet, since obviously TikTok is back. So I'll probably save it for a nice little TikTok to reveal the hits, which I think. I mean, you obviously pulled a good amount of hits too, so I was pretty happy about the breaks. But I think obviously um, the hype around the card breaks for WWE has been crazy. Because I was like, do all of y'all actually like watch wrestling? And obviously, if you go back and listen to like the 2 or 3 episodes ago of Cardboard Dugout, we go into an in depth about one of the experiences we saw with the breaker that we didn't partake in, but we obviously saw and heard some of the stuff and saw some pretty weird stuff go on. But it came into like the fact that like obviously some people aren't wrestling fans, but there's obviously money to be made in this market, and I think this market is it's very weird. It's a lot of ups and it's a lot of downs. Like it's, one day a card will be sell for $60 and that same card will sell the next day for like 10, $15. So it's a lot of highs and lows with it. So it's pretty tricky. And I think it obviously falls on the collectors because, as a collector, you want to collect your favorite wrestlers. You want patches of them, or you want autographs of them. So it just depends on how much willing are you to go and spend, for your favorite wrestler. Like if you look in the background, I don't know if you'll be able to see when this video comes out, but I have a picture of a Cody Rhodes that's autographed that I picked up at a live event here that when Raw was here during WrestleMania season, and I bought that for $25. If you go on eBay, you're probably not going to find, you may, but you probably can't find an autographed card probably for $25 of Cody Rhodes. It's probably just not realistic. But you can go to a live event and pick up a sign like 12 by 14 of Cody Rhodes. And you could probably do the same for CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Like, three big guys. So, it just depends on the collector, like what you're willing to spend. So it's a very tricky market, but it's fun. I don't know. It's fun. Obviously, like it's also like we pulled some legends in our break, and obviously I'm pretty sure you'll do a TikTok on your end. But we both pulled some legends in our end. And it's just I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I do enjoy doing the breaks. It's a little scary because there's a lot of wrestlers out there, and especially it depends on how the breaker does it. But um, yeah, it was a lot of fun, but
Yeah,
scary.
pulled one legend there that haunted me in my dreams that one night. I don't want to talk about that night ever again. That's a different story for a different
We'll
pod.
talk about it after we get our cards in, but.
That's a different story for a
It
different
was funny
pod.
too because
So,
after
yeah,
you
stay
pulled that
tuned for
card,
the
we were
following of
talking
that
about
episode.
it.
How
Me and the wife we were talking about it, and we were talking it to our daughter, and we're like, "Oh, like you see this wrestler?" I was like, "Nikki was scared of this wrestler for his certain reason." So,
dude, no, I was a fan of this wrestler. One of my favorites behind Shawn Michaels when I was growing up. It's a certain event that led me to be scared of this wrestler moving forward. Because what this guy did after that was fucking traumatizing. So,
dude, I remember that day too. That maybe we'll do maybe the next episode we'll do like your favorite memory and your worst memory.
oh, I thought that's number one off the bat. don't want to talk about that ever again. Well, actually, I am, but yeah, that moment lives vivid in my brain. But yeah, again, like you mentioned there, we want to do all that here. Again, we talk about it with the hobby and cards. There are going to be some people that are all in it for the money, and by all means, you do you. I'm not going to ignore myself. Like I sell cards here on the side. I it helps me pay off extra things, helps me fund the hobby, makes good things, that helps me buy extra things. But I think that's what's important too, is like, if you get time the market, you get time a favorite superstar, and you know how to buy or sell, and you know what superstars on the rise, like there is potential for you to make that money. So you can go out and PC and go out and get your favorite cards. Like for me, like I sell cards on the side. That's what funded that John Cena above me. So like, I think that's important too. So like, while you can collect your favorite things, there's also ways to make some little bit of extra side, make some extra cash on the side. And I think that's what's important here. And I think that's what we want to do with this pod, is like give you the insights as far as like maybe what to look for, or what to happen. Like this happened on Raw. Maybe you should go look at this. So that's what we kind of want to preface here. And as we move forward here with the pod, and obviously, you guys can see it here. We talked about cards for 30 minutes, and the last extra 30 minutes, we're just kind of just shooting the shit here, talking about wrestling, our fandom. And I think that's going to be the insight here. And I think that's when it's going to make this pod fun. Like we already do it on the side, but the fact that we can give it to a broader audience, and, maybe we connect with more people, I think in the end, I think that's what's going to make this part of the podcast very fun for us. But that's what I have here for this episode of collecting the 1, 2, 3. Before I give anything out here, Bro Pio, I want to open up the floor to you. Any final thoughts before we log off here for the good old listeners of collecting the 1, 2, 3?
I think the only thing I do got is obviously we live in the good old 210 San Antonio, Texas, home of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. So we do have some wrestling events coming up. Thursday and Friday, TNA will be here. And then Saturday, WWE will be here with Saturday's main event. So I do plan on vlogging a little bit on Thursday. It'll just be me and the wifey at the show. But Saturday, we are taking our 3-year-old daughter to her first WWE live event. So she's a big Jey Uso fan and a big Cody Rhodes fan. She also does acknowledge the tribal chief, which I don't think he's going to be there. And she's also a big CM Punk fan, which unfortunately I do not think he's been there, which is crazy because ever since he's been back in wrestling, he's been ducking and dodging us like he has. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Anyways, I don't think he's going to be there. And she's also a bit, believe it or not, she's also a big Chelsea Green fan. So I also don't think she's going to be there.
Chelsea Green? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's a big Chelsea. She likes Chelsea Green a lot. So we watch SmackDown on Fridays, and Chelsea comes out. She loves Chelsea Green. So I plan on vlogging a little bit more on Saturday and just recording her because I wanna. It's, I don't know. For me, it's a big deal. I'd like to see, like, for me, obviously when me and you grew up, obviously our dad took us to, all these events and stuff like that. So we obviously went with our dad, and now for me to take my daughter to these events, and practically the same arena that we went with our dad. It's pretty cool, and I'm excited to see her face. And like I said, she's a big Jey Uso fan. She's a big Cody fan, and obviously they're now advertised for that show on Saturday. So I'm excited to have her, like, to record her reactions to everything and keep those memories forever. It's gonna be like that good core memory for me. So I'm pretty excited about that. Other than that, yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be cool. I was actually gonna tell you that too. Like, try to record as much as possible because I think she's gonna love it. So I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah. For y'all to be there. I will not be there for preface there. I will be out of town. I will be in Dallas, so I will not be at that event. There is a PSA event, ironically enough, in Dallas that I may or may not be able to go to. I do not know yet. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like when I'm there. So keep an eye out on the socials for that type of content. Cause I don't know what, one, that's going to look like, or two, they're having it at a hobby store. So I don't know like what exactly that's going to entail. Maybe I can go in there, buy some cards, buy some packs, and rip. And I'm not too sure yet. I don't know what my schedule will look like. It's going to be to be determined as the week comes closer. But yeah, my final thoughts here. Just again, follow us on all those socials so you can kind of keep up with everything. So you guys are staying tuned as far as what's coming out, what to expect moving forward. Obviously, as Topps Chrome gets closer and closer, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a checklist. I would assume by this week, because as far as the next Friday, the set will be here. So I would assume sometime this week we'll get an official checklist: who's in it, who's not in it, who has their RC badge, who doesn't have the RC badge. So that's something here that we'll cover as the week gets closer, and that'll probably be next week's episode moving forward. And of course, anything dramatic.
Speaking speaking of that RC badge, if I'm not mistaken, there's a what's that account that we follow on Twitter that's really good about their W cards? I
Yeah, let
can't
me
think
give
of
them
the
a
name off
shout
the
out
top
right
of my
now.
head.
Their Twitter account here is at NC Uncensored. They're gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's where you can find them on Twitter.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they reported. I don't know if it's how much of it is true, but that Julia and Stephanie Varquer are not going to be in the set. So if
Yep.
you're a holder of those select cards, which if I'm not mistaken are short printed in Panini, hold on to
Yep.
those cards, my friends. Those are some good ones. So just want to throw that in. And also, I just saw that the Rock is obviously going to be in this pack, and he's going to have an autograph for the first time since 1998. So there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, when we get to that set list and we get the official who's in it, who's not, we know we're gonna cover who has autographs, who doesn't have autographs. Obviously, you guys know you've seen some of the descriptions that are some of these cards. Like The Rock has a Smell It on there. CM Punk has the best in the world. Cody Rhodes has a Story Finished. We'll obviously dive deep into those once we do get that official checklist there, so we can kind of cover all that as we move forward. So yeah, again, keep an eye on the socials. Follow the socials. Moon3PO. Everywhere. Bropio is at _Robbie _ROBBEEE. That's 2 B's, 3 E's. So you can keep up with any type of updates there on that. And again, if you guys are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel so you kind of keep up with all those type of updates. If you're listening on either Apple or Spotify, make sure you do follow the podcast on those socials. And hey, head over to YouTube and get the channel subscribe button, because again, we do different stuff there from the pod. So if you guys want to support us in any way possible, those are definitely going to help us out tremendously.